dokie. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming along to one of our webinars where we can show you the new functions that are going to be on the latest update of RMS. During this week, they're going to roll out, and this will be version 2.1.0.0, the latest version of RMS. So if you can all update your systems as and when you're asked to. There will also be a PDA update coming out as well in conjunction with this. And they should happen more or less at the same time to enable the functionality that you have with the new features. We have Lawrence today with us. He's
hello,
guys, and he will be answering any questions that you have along the way through the Q&A button on your webinar menu. So anytime you have a question, Lawrence will be there to answer your question. And if it's a valid point or something that we think everybody else needs to know, then Lawrence will drop me a message or come in on the chat and tell you the question that's been asked. Getting off first of all, we're in the HR function of the system. And the first bit that we have there is the ability to add in the absences. If we have a sickness absence, we can now add sickness certificates, medical certificates, anything like that. And these could include not only absence from work certificates, but fit to return to work certificates or phased return to work certificates, so that everything is kept in the same place and it's accessible by your HR people. Also, a new setup is in the holiday years. When you go in and set up your new holiday years, you have the ability now to add mandatory holidays. So if your company is closed or not operating on certain days of the year, and you need your staff to take these as mandatory holiday days, this can be added in here for that function. In the fleet section, made one or two changes in there. First of all, the reporting menu is now a drop-down menu rather than the open up pop-up window in the center of the screen. This now is very much the same as all the other reporting menus in the other RMS applications.
This is just part of we're going through the system and just tidying up all the little bits and pieces and just making it all consistent and getting it all looking nice and tidy.
Next, we have the daily checks. In your daily check templates now, you have a section where you can specify the minimum daily check duration for the driver to do on their PDA. This helps protect the employers, make sure that walk-around checks are being done correctly, but you should also make sure that you have all your different categories of vehicles here so that the daily checks are relevant to those vehicles. Obviously, a car or a 4x4, it's not going to have such a heavy walk round as an HGV slide bed or similar. We have also in the recovery screen a bit of a reconfiguration of the parts selector. So once in a recovery job, go to the parts selector and in there, we now have which depot it comes from, and
when you're searching the part. So,
and also when you're searching the part. So if we put in there, we can search the part.
So just go back into that, Mark. Search that part again.
Jump the gun there a bit quick.
Yeah, so just in this screen now, we've additionally got the locations at the top of the screen. So when you're selecting apart from somewhere, say you've got your vehicles set up as stock locations, so you would say, well, you're not interested in what's in your London depot because the only thing you've got available is what's in your service van on the road. So you can select that vehicle from the stock locations. It'll then only show you the stock in that vehicle. You can then tick that box as well, and that'll only show you what's the vehicle has positive values, so anything that's not zero, basically. And additionally, the column at the end there, the stocked quantity, has been added, so you can see how much stock each part has at the selected depot. So that's all additional to this screen now.
Quite a useful one. This also shows you in the stock selector, shows you what you have in stock rather than the items that you usually stock. The next improvement is to do with the PDAs, and this allows the drivers to select the alternative phone number. Currently, this is just the phone number that shows in the alternative phone number box on the screen. Now drivers will have access to that phone number in the chance of they're getting no reply on the first one. So when they click on the Call Customer button on their PDA, it will have the option there to use the main phone number or use the alternative phone number in the system. Another useful function in the RMS system is in the transaction list. When we go into there, a new filter that has been put is for groups, account groups. For those of you who are using the grouping facility to group certain accounts together, such as clubs, things like that, this will allow you to select those. And it makes it much easier if you're just dealing with the invoice for a certain group sector. We put clubs there, and immediately that will just filter out the invoices for clubs.
So these are the sales account groups that you can create under setup. So you can group your sales accounts. So say you've got maybe 3 or 4 accounts for green flag or something like that. You can lump those all together in a single group, and then in the transaction list, you can then filter by that group and see all the sales accounts that you've added to that group rather than have to do each one individually.
And this is done from the recovery screen. If you hover over setup, then financial, you'll see there that sales account groups have got their own position now, so that you can configure sales account groups, create a new group, name your new group, save it, and then you can add different sales accounts to that group. Here we have the clubs, so you can see that in there all the club related sales accounts are grouped together. Just another facility that makes life a little bit easier for you.
We're gradually adding this to various areas of the system as well. So just wherever you see that little book icon next to the account selector is where you'll be able to use groups. You just click that icon and it'll change it to a drop down. You can see it on the live job list there as well.
Right. The next improvement is in forms, and this is found PDA setup, PDA form templates. Not a lot of customers make enough use of the forms. They're a very, very useful addition on the Apex RMS system, and it allows you to fully customize your own form. You can see here, we've created some dummy ones for you to look at. This is the hire car and condition agreement. This has been totally revamped now and made far easier to use and set up your field types, placeholders, such things like that. Field type with supporting text, a minimum and maximum amount of characters that must be applied to that, and also any allowed items in there. You can also tick a box that makes sure that it is a forced field, and then you can see, using your forms, how they will look on the driver's PDA. So this gives you a good insight of how they look while the driver is using them, and how user-friendly you can make them, how much easier you can make things for the driver while they're doing the forms. You have customer signature with the signature capture box on the PDA, dates, terms and conditions that you can add in with a tick box to say that they've been read. And then at the bottom, you can see that you have a customer's agreement there, as well as the technician's signature to say that the customer has read all of those and acknowledges them.
And this is just this particular form that you can customize this however much you want. The idea of the forms is to ideally replace all paper. So your drivers aren't carrying stacks of paper out to the roadside. They're not faffing around trying to get, especially at night, trying to find the right page and then show this to the customer. So it's none of that anymore. It's all done, can all be done on the PDA once it's entered correctly. Of course, when it's completed, it's uploaded straight to the job. So there's nothing about drivers having to keep track of where they've put what and giving it to the right person to file away to only to get lost. Yeah, none of that. Using forms, you can just have it completed straight from the PDA, go straight into the job. There's just no fuss whatsoever. So if you've got any paperwork that's still being completed at the roadside, we do urge you to consider using forms to replace them instead.
Right, and that comes to fairly much the end of the improvements for this latest release and rollout, which, as I said before, will be happening at some point beginning this week. You'll get a notification that there's an update to your system in the usual management pop-up window, and you can apply the update then. And again, with your drivers, when they get their PDAs, they can update from there. If there are any questions, please use the chat or the Q&A, and we look forward to seeing you or speaking to you again on the next release webinar. So it's very much thank you for me, and thank you to Lawrence as well for helping out today.
No worries. And of course, if you've got any questions or anything, feel free to email our support desk or give us a call. We're happy to go over anything in further detail.
Once again,
we'll catch you at the next webinar.